Hello. Hello there. Can you hear me?
Speakers.
Hello?
Hello.
Anybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
I can hear you.
Good. I found if I put my computer up on a book, it performs better in Zoom meetings. I'm so technologically adept.
Yeah, don't even talk to me about technology. I can't spell the word tech, as I keep saying.
Technology's wonderful when it works.
TEK, right?
At my age, I don't want to learn how to spell it either, believe me. Let's see.
Matt, you look like you're ready to fly a plane.
Yes, these are very expensive, very pricey.
I like it, Matt, but yeah, it wouldn't work with my hearing assistant devices. How you doing, Eileen? Uh-oh. Somebody's having fun with her iPad, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm good. I put it away. Sorry.
That's all right. Take your time. I don't know. We don't have that many people on yet. Anyway.
Eileen, your iPad's still on. So we'll get you.
Is it? Okay, hold on.
Kevin, don't you want to show your face?
Here. All good.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
No complaints.
Doing good.
Fine.
I think so.
I'm especially enjoying the weather.
Yeah. Well, have you gotten out in it at all?
But yeah, I get up when it's dark. I go to work. I come home. It's dark. But I do try to get out at lunch and walk around a little.
I've been there, done that. Yeah. But I have walked at night the last couple of nights. It hasn't been too bad. So.
Good.
Let's see, who else might we? I didn't note down the two people that said they couldn't make it.
It was
Marilyn.
Debbie
Marilyn.
Cambria. Yeah.
Who?
Marilyn.
Marilyn.
Yeah.
And Deb Cambria.
Oh, Deb, yeah.
So we're waiting on Bill and Joe Freeze, if he's going to be on, and Dan
Dan.
Delano.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. With the size of the committee now, I don't know what constitutes a quorum.
Quorum only matters when you vote.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that there's anything to vote on tonight anyway. That's a good point, Joe. Yeah. But we'll hang loose for a couple of more minutes and see if we get, yeah, those three individuals on yet. Yeah, before moving forward. Nick, would you mind taking notes tonight again?
No, thank you, Wally. I'll do it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Has the meeting started yet, Wally?
What?
Have you started the meeting yet?
Not officially, no. I figured we'd wait a couple of more minutes and see if those three individuals join, but if you've got
Okay.
something to do and
No, I just like to throw something out. It's one thing to say, you know, we want a stop sign on the corner of California and Pasadena. It's another thing to say people are speeding on Mill Street. What are you going to do about it? And I see this on the agenda as
right.
written in one sentence, one line, where there's probably a letter or an email.
Dan, I agree. Yes, I thought the exact same thing as you're saying, because I was reading like, what's the context of these three items that are on the agenda?
Right. So it's hard to drive over to California and Pasadena and try to figure out what the complaint is about. Okay. Because when I drive over there, there's no traffic or nothing. Okay. So it'd be nice to have a little preview of what the real issue is.
No, Dan, it's a very good point, and I agree. I am just giving to you what I am getting, and maybe I should
Right.
ask for more.
Well, it was a request by the mayor during our work session week before last. She said her resident had approached her. And she said this was an issue that's come up frequently and you've always declined it. That's all she told me. And to bring it up again. That was it.
I mean, we did talk about it last month, and we also declined it because, again, we agreed that it just doesn't come to a
Okay.
point. I mean,
So
Excuse me, I wasn't talking about any specific item. I just picked that out to talk about it in generality.
Yeah,
Forget about Pasadena, California, Mill Street. It's just, you can apply that to anything.
no, and I'm glad you brought it up, and I think we need more to discuss it, and also to make any reply, other than the one sentence that I've been getting, and I got one sentence last month from the mayor, and yes, I think we do need a context, and I think we'll call a meeting to order, and Dan, just bring that up at the end of the meeting again. I think it deserves a response. Okay. And
You might have to remind me because I'll forget.
what?
You might have to remind me because I'll forget.
That makes two of us, man. Come on. All right, I'm going to write down the word context. I don't know what the heck that's going to mean at the end of the meeting.
I'll
You know
remember
how
to
to spell it?
Supporting documentation, guys, come on now.
Yep.
All right. I'll call a meeting to order 7:08. At least that's what the computer says. And yeah, in deference to Nick, maybe we ought to just state who's present. Yeah, tonight, Wally Pacer is chairman.
Nick Roth,
Dan Ryder,
Joe Spino,
Dean Hunt,
Matt Sherry.
Eileen Torrey, liaison.
And Kevin Brown from the police department.
Hey, Kevin. I think that's everybody, right?
and Bill Tynes coming on.
yes.
All right. Looking at the agenda most immediately, then, the first item, approval of last month's minutes. Does anyone have a problem with that?
You know, Wally, if I may, it's not a correction, but just to put things in context. Last month, when we were speaking about the parking at in front of Reed's, and I had made the comment that Doug Richardson, the parking enforcement officer, told that he was kind of instructed to steer away from Reed's enforcement. I had an opportunity to talk to Doug afterwards, and he said it wasn't specifically Reed's, it was that whole corner, mainly focused on the church, because I know Dan Delano made the comment that it did not come when he was mayor not to enforce the parking laws. And Doug told me that it was something said to him when he first began his position as parking officer for the village. Again, not targeting Reed's, but that whole section, including the church. So I learned this after the minutes. I don't think it's worthy of a correction, but I just want everybody to know that's what Doug Richardson explained to me.
All right, and maybe we'll speak a little bit to that later. Again, because I did talk to Wendy Reed, and I want to relate to the committee, and also did a little legal research. I think I'm going to bill the village for it.
I'll give you a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second? Dan, second. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
And then moving on to a request for a four-way stop sign at Eagle and Orchard. I don't have a context for this either.
I have a letter. Do you want me to read it?
Please,
Yeah,
yeah.
you may have sent it, and if you did, Eileen, I apologize.
But I'll read it. It's short. It says, "Hi, Eileen. I'm writing to inquire about a possibility for a four-way stop sign to be added at Eagle and Orchard, and/or a no parking here to corner sign added on Eagle. I believe that corner to be dangerous for drivers and walkers. I live on Franklin, and it is extremely hard to see around the cars parked at the aforementioned corner. There are many young children in the neighborhood, and cars coming from Mill zip right through that intersection, making it a hazard. Please consider this as part of your new traffic plan for this area. If there is anything I can do to help in this matter, please contact me."
Okay, most immediately, what I found striking, new traffic plan for the area. I'm not aware of any traffic plan for the area at all. I don't know if you are, Eileen, or if the board
No.
has spoken. Yeah,
No,
and
not at this point anyway.
and if you sent that to me, I apologize to the members of, this committee. I would have normally sent it on.
Yeah, I did forward it. Well, next time I'll just forward it to everybody. That's fine.
Yeah,
If that's what you want to do, I can do that.
whatever is easiest. I went off your last email too, more than anything, and I apologize for that.
Oh, that's fine, Wally, no problem. But this is her request that, right now there's a stop sign on Orchard. It's a 4-way, but not on Eagle.
Do we want to go there real quick? A field trip?
Yes,
Please.
if you wouldn't mind,
Yeah,
Matt.
that would be helpful, Matt.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sure.
Field trip.
There
Ah,
we go.
Well, there's a
Alright, so
2-way on
there-
Orchard, but nothing on Eagle.
Nothing on Eagle, nope,
But Orchard is also a dead end down one side, right? And
right, it is.
Where's she asking for the no parking sign?
Where does she ask for that? She wants a no parking here to corner sign added on Eagle. Because all the cars park on Eagle. And when you pull out of Orchard, it's hard to see if you turn toward Mill.
Okay, so it would be right here near the intersection signs, right? It'd
Right,
be back up by the tree or something.
right, that's the other direction. Okay, spin it around, so it's coming from the dead end. Yeah, she's talking here. She's talking coming from the dead end.
Well, there's already a fire hydrant there. You can't park there, right?
right, so it's already got to be back 20 feet from that, right? Or what's the feet from the?
Right,
50 feet, I think,
Side
at
stops.
least.
It's
Yeah.
hard to,
So, I mean, the village could certainly put up a sign there. Put it right where the limit for the fire hydrant is.
but she means across the street, she means that the other side.
On the other side, the side opposite the fire hydrant.
Right, as you cross the street. No, let me see. Okay, Orchard, the southeast side of Eagle Street, she means.
Eileen, does she specify that southeast location in that letter?
She doesn't, but I live right around the corner from there and I know what she's talking about.
Okay.
That's why, but she did not specify that, no. Not at all. She didn't specify that.
So at this point, there is no parking on Eagle Street on this right side that we're looking at right now. Correct? That's a no parking. This whole side of the street is no parking.
Um,
I mean,
Yeah,
there's not a
correct.
car parking
Yep,
on it, so I'm assuming it's no parking there. Sorry.
there's no parking on that side.
So then on this left side, so to speak, where there's the fire hydrant, we would go behind, with the fire hydrant rules, it should already be back wherever. But then on this other side, where the side closest to us here, this front left side here, she would want it here then,
Where the arrow is.
right where, no, I mean, that's already no parking.
That's no
So the
parking.
car, if there's cars parked there, they're illegal, right?
No, the cars are normally parked there.
They
She's
what?
talking about parking on Eagle.
Yeah, right, on Eagle. So right now, looking at coming, so
Okay.
there's that van that's parked there, way
Right.
up. And then there's the empty spot all the way to the intersection. And then there's this next spot right in front of that right here. Is that where she's talking? So but these two areas, in front of this van and from the corner to beyond our screen.
Right, that's what I believe she's talking about. But I wish she would have mentioned exactly what direction. She did not.
Right,
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
obviously with the fire hydrant, there's already it's already exists. You can't park anywhere near that
No.
fire hydrant. So the only other one would be this area right here in the front, in front between Orchard and Mill, I guess, right?
Between
Um,
Orchard and Mill, that's correct.
So if you flip,
Left side of the screen. in other
flip us
words.
around,
Oh,
Okay,
There we go.
That's Mill. That's Mill in the background.
right?
There we
So
go.
there's
So she-
obviously there's already a driveway here. So
But that's where the cars all stack up and park. It's amazing how many cars are parked there on a daily basis. So she means when she pulls out of Orchard and she wants to make a right onto Mill, she really cannot see what's going on.
Right on the what?
You mean?
She wants to make a right onto Eagle and heading towards Mill.
Right, so
Exactly.
right in this spot where this tree is where
Oh,
she wants the parking to be.
Okay. I'm gonna apply Dan's rule. Can you turn, let's see the fire hydrant, please. I'm gonna apply Dan's rule. Remember, there's a marriage between fire hydrants and no parking signs. It sounds like we're allowing parking on the side where the fire hydrants are. And that's not really the right way to do it, okay? There should be parking on the other side, which would be the south side, and no parking on the north side. You could put one sign in and take care of her problem, or you can correct the bigger problem by switching the sides from the one side of the street to the other. Now, you may create some new problems
Right.
when you do that, but you got a fundamental problem here right now, and I assume it's the full length of Eagle Street.
Oh, Eagle Street's always packed.
Well, but the fact that the cars are parked on the wrong side of the street because they should not be parked on the same side of the street as the fire hydrants.
I agree with you. And we have that on North Ellicott as well. You know that.
Right.
Right.
There are rules that govern parking within proximities to fire hydrants and intersections.
Yes.
Right.
So you can ticket people on all four corners if they're parked too close to the intersection. And you can certainly ticket someone who's parked too close to a fire hydrant. But to say, I'm hoping no one's saying no parking on the entire side of the street where there's fire hydrants for the length of the street. That shouldn't be.
No.
Can I clear it up? Hold on, this is Kevin Brown. Let me just clear it up. It's 30 feet from the intersection that you're not supposed to park for, and then 15 feet on either side of the fire hydrants you're not supposed to park. Typically, the fire hydrants aren't posted unless it's a habitual parking problem. And often not for an intersection such as that. It probably would not be posted 30 feet from the intersection. But if it is a problem, certainly a parking sign should clear up any confusion that any of the.
How
Thanks.
often, I mean, how often is the parking in the first instance? And again, we're also looking at a four-way stop here as the concern of the resident.
Right.
But yeah.
So again, with the four-way stop sign, what are you trying to, I'm not sure what the resident's looking to accomplish. I checked the history for accidents at this intersection and there's none. So it's clearly not a safety issue that anybody is having traversing through that intersection. So the four-way stop sign really on an intersection like that is probably infrequently traveled. It's just
Right.
going to either cause more confusion. It's an unwarranted stop sign if you were to put it there. It certainly would probably give them a false sense of security because nobody's going to stop for that sign anyway.
Mhm.
I totally agree.
I agree with
Completely
the same
agree.
thing.
So
Yeah, and
that
there's another
I-
one right at North Ellicott anyways. There-
Right,
there's
North
already
Ellicott has one,
stop
yes.
signs.
So then if I'm just going to scoot down because if the people at Orchard and Eagle are going to want one, the next intersection's what?
North Ellicott, which already has one.
North Ellicott, there's
Okay.
a,
Okay.
And then we're at Evans.
And then, and then Mills the other side. So this would be the only four-way intersection that does not have one on Eagle.
Wasn't there?
From
One's a dead end, so never mind.
yeah, one end of Orchard's dead end.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
But I mean, I would recommend the, no parking from here to corner. I mean, I will address this again with the woman and see if that would be sufficient. Because I think listening to this, especially what the police officer said, that there are never any accidents, it does not call for a four-way stop. But I will ask about the no parking from here to corner, basically. How's that?
Before you do that, can I ask a question? I'm someone who's not necessarily a fan of public art notice signage. Could there be an information, or my guess is it's probably similar cars, similar neighbors that are parking this area all the time, because there's not much else there. So an informational campaign, dropping things down. Hey, you cannot park for 30 feet from here. This 30 feet, and then after a few weeks, a month, maybe do a couple leaflets or whatever, something down there just saying you can't park here. And then after that, or even like a larger, I don't know, a town sign or something, just a temporary sign that says there's no parking here, and soon we'll start ticketing here, because we haven't in the past. But I don't know if what Kevin thinks on that. But I just don't think putting a sign to put a sign is if it's mostly neighbors that are probably doing it. Once they know that they can't do it, and then the first couple tickets that come out, they'll stop doing it.
So in my opinion, I mean, those the informational campaigns and public notice signs and all that is something we do on like Niagara Falls Boulevard to try to get people, the most people notice. This, you can almost stand on the corner and just start yelling it, and people probably will hear you who are going to be affected by it. If it's truly a safety issue, I would just advise a resident to call the police department. An officer will come out, they'll investigate it, they'll look into it. If it's truly a safety issue, they'll run the plate of the vehicle owner and locate them that way and talk to them. And it'll just be on a case by case. There's probably one or two cars completely that are really causing problems. So it can easily be done. If the resident sees that it's truly a safety issue, the officer come and investigate it.
Okay.
That's the best way to go about it. By far and away, that's the best way to go about it, because I completely agree that we really don't need a proliferation of signs, particularly signs that are just telling people what they already should know if they have a driver's license. That you're not supposed to park close to intersections. You might as well put a sign on all four corners of every single intersection in the village if you're going to do that. I completely agree with the approach of call it in and let the police run the plate and give them a little warning, and then handle it that way. That's by far the better way to go about it.
I'm in agreement with all the comments that way. I can't add anything to it. And getting back to the four-way stop, I just don't see given what Kevin has said.
No benefit.
Everything I understand and the studies done by too many stop signs become meaningless. I like the approach to that's being suggested here.
Can I ask Matt? Matt, can you, because you are our navigator.
Yeah.
I would love to see, just for again, using the word context that we're using a lot today, is back out to the overview and give us the measurement of 30 feet from the intersection to, what would 30 feet be from the intersection out, so we can kind of visualize
Where the park.
about here. And where would 30 feet actually be?
Where's that measuring tool?
It's a right click. I just learned that from I think it's a right click and to say, I think it says
Right at the bottom.
bottom, measure distance.
First, you have to click where you're starting. Click where you're starting.
Oh, I never knew this.
I know, neither
Yeah.
did I until I'm not sure it was somebody here in this committee.
Now move it to where you want and click it again.
There we go. Okay.
Drag to change, click to move. Okay, cool. So where are we going from the intersection to where? I'm sorry.
About 30 feet. So just kind of click,
30.
click again. No, just hit a regular.
Clear measure. There you go.
23 feet. Now you can pull it. You can actually pull it if you want to.
So
now.
we want to pull it towards.
To 30. So 30 feet.
there's-
It's not that.
There's a little more.
Wow.
Can't read it.
It's about that. To be honest, it's about that tree.
Yep.
Right. And obviously you're kind of in the middle of the intersection. So if you were to move that a little further, yeah, so it's about the tree. It's about.
Wow.
I mean, generally speaking, it's about a car length and a half is what you're looking
Oh,
at for
okay.
the distance
Right.
to the corner. So an average car is
Here-
like 18 feet.
People
And
park,
speaking for the tree board, we're not going to put a sign beneath a tree.
We're gonna nail it to the tree.
It'd be quick,
The
Nick.
spike.
You're supposed to nail the driver, not the tree.
Oh,
So yeah, so that's, I mean, that's just for context, again, our context, there's 30 feet anyway. So it's,
that's good to know.
Okay, so Wally, for the purpose of the minutes, we see no need for a four-way stop, no need for any signage saying no parking to corner. We'll follow Captain Brown's suggestion that the resident be advised on a case-by-case basis to contact the APD for any possible enforcement.
At this, yeah, I think so. For the record, at this juncture, since we don't have anyone to, in the village, an enforcement officer as well, so.
and Nick, do you mind mentioning there again that the rule, again, that the rule states or the law states 30 feet. So there are, this kind of mentioned that it's rules already, the law already states there's a 30 feet from the intersection.
Right, good point, Joe. Thank you. I'll note that in the minutes.
That was 20 minutes. That's a record for us.
I know. Well, again, now we go to the same issue number.
Now we're gonna have the same conversation at Pasadena in California.
Right. That's exactly right.
You can just repeat my comment from about 5 minutes ago. It's the same for this intersection too. No accidents, nothing, completely unwarranted to have a stop sign there.
And we talked about this last month where we agreed that there should, like, that signs aren't, again, we thought again that for what it is happening is we think it's the construction that's causing it. And, but even so, there's not enough cars coming down here to really warrant it.
So just, if I could be selfish just for a hot second. So I'm right around the corner here. I'm on Milton, and they're adding those, the new apartments and the townhouses there. And there's going to be an influx of cars, whether, Joe and I like to admit it. There's going to be a lot of cars swinging down here to go to Cayuga, then to get to other major avenues. Is it, I know all the studies say no stop signs, but you're going to have what? How many residents are they putting there, Joe, off the top? I can't remember. It was a while ago.
There's 32 condos and
It's like
then there's
100
another
people?
110 apartments.
So maybe like 150 and change. So you're going to have 150 new drivers on
Well,
California.
That's just the residents. So there's probably there's upwards of 250 to 300. There's probably multiple drivers in the house. And those,
Right. So think about all those new drivers that are going to be swinging down here to get to. I mean, if you think about it, the only major exit out of here is this one we're looking at to Cayuga, and then Los Robles Light to get to other main, avenues of travel.
Well,
So-
that's because it's also because the planning board declined to put
We shouldn't dive into that.
Right.
We shouldn't sully this meeting with that.
Let's not sully
But
the meeting. Right.
We're gonna.
and I think it's a good point that you make, but why don't we wait till they get this place built out? And I don't mean the first building open, I mean the first half a dozen buildings, and see if we have a problem then.
Dan,
Yeah.
Matt, with all due respect too, I agree with Dan. I'd also like to see, and I was a proponent on the planning board of an exit out on the Garden Parkway extension. And the developer didn't want it. The village.
I know. We don't have to rehash it. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
we all
We all know.
we all know.
Yeah, the village board is still apparently looking at that possibility with the developer whenever this development does come to more of a fruition. And I don't disagree with you that California and Los Robles are all going to suffer, though the traffic study that we had reviewed said that ain't the case. Back when we all looked at this a year or two ago. I found that incredible, but
I know, yeah.
But again, traffic studies don't look at, they look at load capacity. You know, they look at capacity of a road. Not whether it's an A, B, C, D, E, or F is how many. It's not looking at. Again, there's no point in. There's no point
Don't-
we're gonna bring up something that's
The hairs on the back of my neck are starting to come up.
I know,
So I'm
like,
really starting to, like,
maybe just. I still agree with you though that it's premature. You Dan Ryder, that it's premature for us to put the sign there. I mean, I understand. I walk the dog there every day. And there's just like, I know there's not a lot of cars that use this, and Captain Brown is correct that, like, when we talked about it last month, putting like I can, how many cars are going through there? I think he asked you, Matt, and it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's like there's just
less than half a dozen in an hour, if that.
right. It's at this point it's something that maybe we need to consider as the build out continues, but not anything we need to look at today.
What, does anybody know when they're gonna have their first house for sale? I mean, I'm talking about buying one off of a piece of
I
paper.
don't know.
The first condo building is being built. They have the windows in, so like it's roofed. It's there. So they're. I would imagine by the spring they'll have the first condo building done, but that's only 4 units, I think. And then, but the first apartment building, they're roughing it now. I mean, they're working on it now. It's they have the elevator shaft in, and they have the first floor is in construction phase. So
I know, I look at my backyard, I can see it.
yeah,
Monitor it every day.
yeah. So that's probably not until
You're at least a year away.
we're looking a year out. Yeah.
We'll visit this next year, I think. You know, that may be the beginning of more traffic.
Right.
Ultimately, there'll be more traffic. There's no getting around that. But the idea that the traffic is going to be overwhelming is probably a lot of fear for no really good reason. There's a network of streets. There is certainly a route out to get from California out to Cayuga and head point south. There are other routes that can be more circuitous to make an exit from there or an entrance from there. But drivers will learn these things over time, and it's never going to be overtaxed because no matter how many there are, they're not all on the street at the exact same time.
Right.
I mean, that's what traffic studies talk about. They don't just talk about how many cars there are and what the load capacity is. They talk about what the capacity is of the street, how much traffic is on the street at a given time, when it's projected that new traffic will be added to the street, and how all of those things factor together, including background growth over time in the system and any known projects that are coming up at the same time. All of these things are analyzed and factored. And if there is a problem, that traffic study, if anybody had a problem with it, the time was a long time ago to say something about it. But the idea of there's an impact that needs mitigation, that's when you take care of it. If no mitigation was identified to be required and nothing was required, then the project moves forward, and understand that it won't be occupied instantaneously. It'll be built incrementally, and then it'll be occupied even further incrementally over time. And drivers will learn how to operate in the context because they'll be part of the community. They'll be part of the neighborhood. They will travel these streets just as often as you do, and they'll learn what the best routes are to get around. And people take different routes at different times, depending on how crowded things are. I don't think, there's no need to be fearful of this right now. If there's a problem in the future, we can deal with it. But I am not one who believes that this is going to be a horrible thing. And if it was, it never should have been approved to start with. The village actually solicited projects to go on these properties. This is something that the village asked for.
Yeah, you're right.
And I suspect we will get brought back into it again if indeed they're looking seriously at trading certain lands to possibly make that extension of an exit out onto, what is that, South Long?
South Long to Garden.
To Garden Parkway extension out on the Union. Yeah, I would think that if the village board agrees that it's something that should be done because of traffic, we'll be asked to look at it in the future as well and reconsider it. Yeah, and it's something even on the planning board, would extensively lobbied for, and it never happened. Yeah, but at this juncture, again, it sounds like we all think it's premature, so let it, leave it as it is. Is that okay with everybody?
I'm agreed.
Agreed, Wally. Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Agreed.
Agreed.
I brought it up, so I guess I agree. I changed my mind.
Moving on to no parking from here to corner on the south side of Belmont.
If you bring up that map, that would be awesome, but I can read the letter in the meantime. It was originally sent to Bill from DPW, and it says, "My name is Joel and I live at 13 Errand Avenue. I wanted to bring up a concern we had regarding parking on Belmont. Frequently, when we are turning off of Mill onto Belmont to get to our home, there are 1 or 2 cars parked on the south side of Belmont, very near the corner. The concern we have is when someone is stopped on Belmont trying to turn onto Mill and there is a car parked near the corner, Belmont is not wide enough to allow the car turning from Mill to get onto Belmont and they get stuck. Would it be possible to look at possibly implementing a no parking area near the corner to at least allow people to turn off of Mill? Again, it's the same thing about the intersection that nobody adheres to, no parking here, same idea, same problem."
But a
Hey,
very
Wally-
good letter, very good letter.
Wally, didn't we look at this a couple years ago? It was always like a great pickup truck parked on, or am I thinking of a different intersection?
You're thinking
No,
of it, that was Oak Grove, I think.
Yeah.
That was Oak Grove, Nick.
Oak Grove and Scott and
Over by
Oh, okay,
Garrett's.
right. Okay, thank Garrison and Scott. Thank you. It just said.
Same,
it just-
it's the
yeah,
same thing.
Harris and Scott, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I went by that intersection, God knows how many times, and I never saw the truck parked there. But I think it's still the same response that Kevin suggested earlier. You shouldn't be parking that close to the intersection.
Completely agree.
What?
Again, live around
We
the
beat
corner.
this horse enough. It's the same,
Yeah,
same
they're-
approach, same deal.
Yep. This is like Groundhog Day, guys.
So Matt, can you just go forward, just move us forward on Belmont a little bit, just to see where.
Could you-
On to Belmont.
Yeah, let's
No,
see
it's
where the
Mill
fire
Bel-
hydrants are.
Mill Belmont, the intersection. That's where it is. Oh,
Right, that's right where we were, and now,
So I'm gonna just turn us around.
yeah.
So now that's Mill.
yeah.
So someone's parking like maybe here-ish?
No, right at the intersection. It's no joke. Right at Mill and Belmont. They always park there. Even the U.S. Postal Service parks there.
There's a driveway there. They're parking.
Now, let me see.
And a crosswalk, you can't park within 30 feet of a crosswalk.
They park
Right.
right on it.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. I'm looking at my phone and it's so small. I can't see this. Sorry, guys.
The letter was very good.
Yeah, we get it. I don't know what we're gonna do differently on this one than we did on all the others. It's just,
Right.
put it in the minutes, let's move on.
Okay.
So
I-
the rules, again, the rules 30 feet now from a crosswalk,
agree.
which would still
Yep.
put us down to about where this white truck is right now. Maybe not, maybe a little before that. But you're right. I mean, the same thing, and I know like Bill Time says, you know, I mean, the same thing we said at every four corners, every intersection.
Well, now I understand, now we have no parking enforcement in the village, is that right?
Not at the moment, no.
What does this
that-
say? There's a sign right here.
No, it's on the other
On the other
side.
side, though.
No, you
Uh.
park wrong side. No, go the other side. People are parking on the other side. close to it.
Right. Where the white
Uh,
car is.
okay.
Yeah. If you back up, people park right as they turn off of Mill onto Belmont. People actually sit there literally.
Right in the crosswalk.
Yeah, they
Oh.
do all the time. It's crazy.
Oh, that's a call. That's a call to the police department.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
More work
You
to Kevin.
certainly cannot park in the crosswalk. That's a given, right?
Can you satisfy my curiosity, turn the camera around? I'd like to know which side of the street the fire hydrants are on.
Stand by.
Eileen, I would just advise both
There are
residents
none. It's like,
the same way
There are none.
there's one on the left.
There's a
there.
There's a fire.
on the
So-
corner here.
So we have no parking on the left-hand side here, or do we
So
have?
it's correct. It's actually the way it's supposed to be.
So are the parking on the right?
The parking's on the right.
Okay, then
Parking
that's,
right is correct. That's where they're allowed to park, on the right.
yeah, okay. So we're not moving fire hydrants or signs or anything else.
No, not in this street.
All right. It sounds like an enforcement issue or
Right.
a notice to presumably the people that live in the area. Somebody is probably,
I think exactly, because there's
resident.
there's no reason to park on this street unless you're in one of these houses.
Yeah,
Again, right? Unless, when we haven't had an art festival in a while, if anything's happening in the park, then it's overcrowded, but that hasn't happened in a year or so.
right.
Is somebody running a business around here?
No, negative.
no.
No.
Eileen, since you seem to be, does it seem to be that there's just a couple of cars by the intersection, but then there's empty spaces up front further? Like if you
Yeah.
look at the street, there's a lot of empty spaces on the street. Is it kind of like it's kind of full at the corner, but down at the end of the street, it's not further down, it's not a problem?
That's
Some-
correct.
My guess
Yeah.
is then they're probably people on Mill.
People on Mill Street parking there
Yeah,
to get
who are
off
parking
busy
there,
street.
and that's the closest they can, exactly.
That's 100%
No,
it.
parking on Mill is impossible. You can't
Right,
park.
exactly. So they're probably
So
parking
that's
on
what they're doing.
their Mill residents who are
Right.
probably parking on
Belmont.
Yeah.
Belmont. Yeah,
And that's why they park at the corner, because they can get home quicker.
yeah. That one car length is really helping them out.
Right.
Good
So
point.
a couple parking tickets will teach them their lesson and they'll park
Exactly.
further down.
Exactly.
Okay, so enforcement again, got it.
All right.
This is like our
Okay.
fastest meeting yet.
Keep it going.
Keep it
It's
going.
almost bedtime for the boys. Keep going.
All right, I guess that's new business. Yeah, then looking at the old business, again, no parking from here to corner in front of Reed's. A couple of things. I did speak to
Wendy?
Wendy, thank you for filling in the blank. I did speak to Wendy, explain the problem, and asked her to alert her clients, her patrons, to the concerns of at least one or two Oak Grove residents. She said, she seemed to be a very pleasant lady. I will tell you that I was there for over half an hour today. Never saw a car parked. she did also respond that when there are cars parked there, it's usually as a result of Brightsmith and the Irishman, and that makes a heck of a lot of sense to me.
Overflow,
What?
overflow parking.
Yeah, they're just parking a block
Right.
down the street. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the half an hour or so I was there, talking with her, not one car pulled up, even to, to her.
Can you point the hand or the finger at where we're talking about?
Right in
I think
front
right
of
where this
her,
truck is.
and
right?
coming, going east, going towards Oak Grove.
Yeah, so right where this truck is parked in this picture.
Right.
Right.
And in front of it.
Okay, so is the SUV parked legally?
It most likely is there, Dan, but as a resident of Oak Grove, I've experienced a lot of times, as expressed by the author of that letter, where they're parked further east than the utility pole on the corner where the concrete changes.
Okay, and they're blocking the sidewalk and everything. So they're clearly, they're violating the 30-foot rule, okay?
Right.
And, I'm not in favor of a bunch of signs, but maybe put one up on a telephone pole or something there.
Again, and ironically, I did some research, legal research that, I should have left it Chip. But I'd asked Kevin this one, see what his understanding of the law is in terms of, this kind of an intersection, and whether the law basically says, that it's 30 feet back of this type of an intersection, as opposed to one with a crosswalk, one with a yield sign, one with a red light.
Generally speaking, yeah, it's 30 feet from, I don't remember the exact verbiage of the section, but anything from the intersection and the beginning of the intersection is kind of designated by the crosswalk or anything like that.
The section I looked at, 1202 of the Vehicle and Traffic Law, is in my mind somewhat confusing in terms of whether this intersection qualifies. But irrespective of that, I did find that the village attorney, J. Michael Hayes, asked for an opinion as to whether or not the village could post signs back in 2005 or 2007.
He wanted signs at every intersection?
Hello?
You've asked whether the village may enact a local law establishing a minimum distance that a vehicle may park from an intersection that is less than the minimum distance required by Vehicle and Traffic Law 1202.
So as a general law or whatever, the village can make something more restrictive. They can't make it less restrictive.
Right.
So the village could pass a law saying, we want it to be more restrictive parking violation. That would definitely be allowed. And then you would have to post signs so that people would be aware of it.
Okay, if you don't like signs, then you can do it with paint. Just drive up Main Street through Snyder. They now have bump outs. And in the areas where they don't have bump outs, they have fog lines, and they taper them from the curb out to designate parking, and then back into the curb where parking is prohibited. You could do that along here, and we get ask the state to do it for us. It's something that was really left out of the Main Street project.
Right, and there's similar markings like that, Dan, between the Irishman and Brightsmith, just a few hundred feet down the road. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Just paint.
Uh,
Yeah, scoot
Look at that.
down Main Street if you can. And I think the bump outs are all striped, aren't they? Quinn?
I'm not sure.
I will find out when the pony gets down there. Can we go a little
Where we-
farther to the,
Let's
Where
see,
we headed?
Bright,
Yeah, we just passed it.
Turn
We
around, yeah.
just back up a little.
To
Yeah,
Brightsmith?
Go back.
yeah, Brightsmith.
You can see right there.
Yeah.
There it's starting, and it's
So,
There-
getting smaller and
Yeah.
smaller and smaller.
Yep. Right there, that's it. Right there, Dan.
yep. So why can't we have that down in front of Reed's?
You're gonna get asked that by people at every corner,
Yeah.
because this is a problem on every north-south corner in the
Well-
village.
Well,
And
they did it all the way through Snyder to Eggertsville. Drive up there, when you go to Brunners, just,
are we balancing lack? And I find it ironic that we got asked by one of the trustees to find more parking in the village, and we're implicitly looking at less parking.
But we're not eliminating parking. We're saying you can't park illegally.
Right,
No, yeah,
right. It's that illegal parking that presents a traffic hazard. And Captain Brown would know better than I do. I can't remember any accidents at that intersection. And personally, I do not try to make a left-hand turn off of Oak Grove onto Main Street unless it's very, very early in the morning. But it can be a problem with the sight lines when you pull up there if it is illegal, or if there is illegal parking.
mhm.
And Matt, I know Google wasn't around in the 60s, but I'd like to know when this footage is from. There's no traffic anywhere on Main Street.
August 29th. Yeah, this is August 2019.
This has got to be early in the morning, very early in
Yeah.
the morning.
Or during COVID.
It was last August, so not this
yeah,
August.
the sun's coming up behind you.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you can see definitely you can see the shade.
You can go back in time.
Oh, cool.
August 2019.
well, gang, the problem exists on every intersection.
Right.
We recognize that at California when we recommended that there only be right turns onto Main Street. Yeah.
From 7 to 7.
Yeah.
I know.
That
was-
works, doesn't it? I mean, I know there's people that violate that, but generally
There are
that
people who
works.
violate. I mean, that's my quest right where I live. So there are people who violate it, and that's just what it is. But I mean, you can't have a cop there enforcing it every single minute or every single day. So people violate it, yeah. But for the most part, it does work, and most residents know better anyways. They don't come out there and don't turn left, just like Nick doesn't turn left off Oak Grove. Most residents don't take a left off of California. So
That's so incredibly dangerous if you were to do that.
yeah, I mean,
Because the juice bar is packed, and then if you want to forget it,
yeah, that's
Easy.
you're
It's-
asking for
it's-
trouble.
It's busy. It is. I mean, if you can do it before 7 in the morning and you can do it after 7 at night, and you're pretty safe because there's not cars. Because similar to the Reed's issue here, the cars park on in front of the juice bar right to the corner, and they're in there for 5 minutes, parking there, and it's pretty awful. And then they also park right on California at the intersection, where, back to Eileen's letter, people turning right off of Mill onto Belmont, people turning right off of Main onto California, when those cars are literally parked at the corner and there's cars coming down California, you can't get around them at all and you're stuck. And then your back end of your truck or your car is sitting out in Main Street because you can't get around the cars that are parked on California illegally.
You're not gonna fix every problem.
Right. And it's just,
But the Main Street should be the easiest to fix, because it's an engineered road. It's a big wide road, it's engineered and things have been thought out. Maybe not the length of the fog lanes, but it's easy enough to change.
certainly asking the state for the 30 feet for the 30 feet back, asking them to paint that with that kind of diagonal line, kind of showing you can't park there, similar to what they did up at Brightsmith or in Snyder, is something that we could the village board could ask, or someone from the village could ask them to do.
Is the hash marks, are the hash marks still up there at Brightsmith? I don't remember those.
Yeah, those are there.
Are they? Maybe the
Yep.
cars parked over when I go by there. I don't know. But yeah,
The funny thing is,
look at Snyder and Hagersville. It seems to work there. I don't know.
Matt, that sign that you had, Matt,
It just
that
said
sign is
2 hour.
interesting. It's a 2-hour sign and it has the arrows going both ways, but really in front of that sign is within a few feet is the 30 feet line. So that's probably part of that you probably should have a 2-hour parking and the arrow should be just pointing backwards and not forward.
That's what
That
they
is
park.
interesting. That is interesting.
Uh.
I wonder what 30 feet is.
The car
Probably.
length, yeah.
A car and a
Who's
length and a half, right?
responsible for the striping and the signage? Would it be the state then?
It's a
Is it-
parking place and a half, not a car length and a half. It's the length of a parking space and a half. Parking space, a parallel parking space is on Main Street in Amherst and in the village is 10 by 20. It's actually the width of the parking aisle on the shoulder, but the length of it's 20 feet. They're not striped. They're not all measured out, but you guys drive enough. You know what a parking place looks like.
Yeah.
It's a
But
parking
interesting,
space and a half.
Matt just measured the 30 feet and that truck
My car's there.
there's a car sitting there 30 feet. But again, that's also where the sign is. And the sign has arrows going forward and backward. The sign should really just be an arrow going backwards and not.
In my view,
Right.
the problem isn't people parking. By the way, look how wide Oak Grove is. So that problem with people parking close to intersections and making it difficult to see trying to get around them is worse at most of the other intersections. Oak Grove happens to be really wide and the church is set way, way back. So you can see coming in one direction pretty well. Reed's is right up to the corner, so it makes it a little difficult. And it's the cars that are the issue. But the cars parked there isn't the real problem. The real problem is the velocity of the cars going down Main Street, who are all speeding. At peak hour, when you're trying to get your nose out there and see, they're not going 30 miles an hour. And in a village setting, as we've discussed with this group many, many times, pedestrian compatible speeds are 25 miles an hour. And we have a DOT laid out street using DOT standards and wide lanes and all the things that make drivers feel comfortable going fast. People speed because they're comfortable speeding down Main Street. If it was tighter on Main Street, and by the way, those cars parking there are the kinds of things that slow people down. And if people have to slow down and it's difficult to make a move coming off of Main Street and that traffic's interrupted, so be it. The more difficult issue is the people trying to make the left and entering Main Street at unsignalized intersections. And this particular intersection has a traffic signal right in the parking lot that Reed's sits on. So all you have to do if you're coming out Oak Grove is go behind Reed's and then cut through the parking lot and get to the signal at Mill in front of the Creekview. And you can make a signalized turn at peak hour when the traffic's difficult. When it's not peak hour, it's pretty easy to get out of there. And most of those times when it's not peak hour, especially on weekends or in the evenings after 8:30, when Reed's is really closed, other than the washing machines, the dry cleaning's done, there's no real push to park in front of it, really, not close. They park closer to the machines than they do to the dry cleaning end of it. So it's an issue to push with DOT, not to keep people from parking, but to get them to do things to change this way things are striped and slow traffic down. Look at this very same street with almost the same amount of cars on it on Route 5 going through the city of Batavia. Doesn't look like this. It's not perfect, but it's better than this. This is all about DOT wanting to move traffic quickly and efficiently through the village of Williamsville to the detriment of the citizens of the village of Williamsville. And businesses need on-street parking. I'm not suggesting that people should park illegally. Don't get me wrong. People should, those, you can certainly enforce those 30-foot dimensions and get people to park, but the problem is the traffic speed, the velocity of traffic on Main Street in the village. That's most of the issue.
Can you park on this crummy asphalt?
I do.
Yes, yeah, people park all the time, and then there's also a tendency to double park too, occasionally, not frequently, but it does happen.
Reed's doesn't want you to park there. They want to use it for their trucks, but any of us that do dry cleaning at Reed's park there.
Right.
Yeah. Look, a couple of things again. Yet, Wendy has said she would alert, any customers. Who put the sign that said parking 2 hours and with the arrows in both directions? And even if we were to recommend striping, a la the striping by Brightsmith, who's going to do it? Is that all a state function? And did the state put up that parking sign that said 2 hours? That's apparently misleading.
Right.
I candidly don't read yet, and I didn't notice that parking sign, but I candidly don't read section 1202 to say 30 feet at every intersection, period. And I wonder if the state put that up, and I think the state probably did, yet if it's reading it the same way. It's just too blatant and narrow.
Well, it's easy enough to fix that. Just go paint out the arrow. White paint. You may can't have paint, I'll go fix it tomorrow.
I agree, kind of. Hate to say it.
Yeah, Nick, don't put that one in the, at least the volunteer to do that, the name of that person in
Yeah, got you covered, Wally. Thank you.
You guys can write a letter, you won't get that done for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get it done tomorrow morning.
So where do we go from here with this then? At best, everyone.
Short of
Ed
doing
Young's
anything
buy a
illegal-
can of paint.
Yeah, I'm saying short of doing something illegal like painting the sign, which I'm guessing is probably against the rules, is making us is again suggesting that the board reach out, or I don't know if we do as the traffic safety committee, or we tell the board to reach out to the state DOT to have them replace that, fix the sign. At least it'll make things clearer.
Well, I'm meeting with the DPW tomorrow, and I'm going to ask Ben. He'll probably know the answer to that.
And that would be phase one, but could phase two be get the fog lines and parking and no parking, get that all down as paint on the pavement for the full length of the village? Like Snyder is?
Going to put parking on side streets and whatever, more so.
No. All you're doing is you're going to prevent, or you're going to advise people that they're in a no parking zone when they get close to an intersection, because the white fog line is going to come into the curb.
Right, we're not reducing any legal parking.
Right.
Apparently. Yeah. right now, I don't know if any APD person could write a ticket given that sign. Yeah. As it's presently constituted.
Maybe that's why people continue to park there.
So yeah, I think Eileen, if you're gonna talk to Ben, just ask him. Maybe talk about that sign. Say, is there a way like can he reach out to DOT for fixing that sign? But knowing that there's no parking 30 feet to the corner, that sign's pretty much at 30 feet. So there should be no parking in front of that sign.
I apologize. Well, I lost my audio for a second. What was the question for the PD?
Oh, because the 2 hour, again, the rule is 30 feet to the corner, no parking, but the sign is clearly arrowed both ways. The sign in front of reads at the 30-foot mark. It says 2 hour parking, and it has arrows both ways, front and back. So Wally was saying it's like he doesn't even know that you could actually even ticket that, since the sign is really kind of contradicting what the rule is.
So I'll take a picture of it tomorrow morning and show it to Ben. That's fine.
So the 30 feet are within the traffic control device. So there's no signal light at that signal. There's nothing stopping you. So the distance is probably less. It's probably, I'd have to look at the section again, but I think it's in like the 20s. So the intersection we were talking about before with the stop sign, that's where the 30 feet comes in. So there's still no parking right to the corner, but the distance would be a little different in there. So whether it's appropriate signage or not, I don't know.
Gotcha.
It's kind of the intent of that sign is for the 2 hour parking, not necessarily. So it's not, all encompassing. It's
right.
It is definitely misleading. There's no doubt about that.
Maybe some white tape. Quicker than paint.
Eileen, when are you meeting with Ben tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning at 10.
Well, I can't make it. Otherwise, I'd join you if you wouldn't mind.
But Wally, I'll just take a picture of that sign and I'll explain the situation, and he'll know the answer. If it's a state, if he can do it, he'll know the answer. So I'll get the answer to you.
Yeah, it's something we can revisit again. I think we've hashed it over enough right now. And maybe Ben can answer what if striping were to be truly recommended or whatever.
Okay.
Who does that striping?
Right.
Pretty sure it's DOT. That's their road. They own it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, it's state DOT will do that, but they're not going to restripe it until they repave it, pave it, and do all that kind of stuff. They won't do it now.
Right. Sometimes they restripe it when it gets a little stripes get a little banged up.
Well,
Proud.
Enough said about that right now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to where'd my oh, there it is. Yeah, again, the parking issue at on North Ellicott at Main.
Well, if we don't have the civil drawings, can we kick it down the curb? I mean, you really need those to see what the heck is going on and what they intend for parking and whatnot.
We got the drawings.
Yeah. Tim had sent them earlier today when I reminded him. I had asked for them a
month ago.
I had asked for the drawings about a month ago or right after our last meeting in anticipation of today.
Oh, there they are. Okay.
I think as I recall, I had thought there were two an entrance and an exit onto North Ellicott, and I have to apologize to everyone. The planning board reduced that. It was, originally proposed by the developer, an entrance and an exit, two different ones on Ellicott, North Ellicott, as well as the Main Street one. But planning board reduced it to that one, and then did the circular driveway to try and make matters easier. I think that was the reasoning for North Ellicott residents. But yeah, now we're looking at that driveway or parking possibly on the west side, as opposed to right now the east side, where there is parking. And if I'm not mistaken, on the east side, you also have the fire hydrants. And Tim had mentioned that it would probably be easier. Not probably, he said fire department would have an easier time if parking was on the west side.
Which is where it's at, right? It's on the west side now.
What?
That's on the east side.
Oh, parking's on the east side now. Okay.
But and that's, I think, what the village has asked us to look at, parking, changing the parking and or eliminating parking entirely.
There aren't too many parking spots in this block up to the alley on the east side because there's so many driveways. Okay, you don't have a lot of parking there. And I think you probably will create more parking spots, if a couple more, if you move it to the west side. But I don't think I'm in favor of really doing anything at this point. It's like California. If it becomes a problem in the future, then we'll deal with it. But I can't see doing anything now.
Eileen?
Yes.
I don't know if the board is, I think it was the board that asked us to look at this.
Well, initially it was, yes, eliminate the parking from the stretch of Main Street to Swan, that section. And last month's meeting, everybody agreed, if you leave the parking, people will be speeding up, North Ellicott. And then Mr. Ryder mentioned widening the road. I remember that.
Couple of feet.
Yeah. And then we thought, well, maybe the parking should be on the opposite side where it should be actually, because the hydrants are on the east side.
Right.
So parking really should be on the west side, which would eliminate the problem of trucks pulling out of the Benderson property.
Right. And then the other suggestion I know was part of the meeting was, which we did want to address, it was the no left-hand turn out of the lot. Right? I think, Eileen, we did.
Yeah, and the planning board agreed that would happen. That's definitely, planning board said no left turn at all out of the lot onto North Ellicott.
But now, see, we as a traffic safety would disagree with that.
Right.
For safety reasons, we think you should turn left out there and turn right onto Evans, Eagle, to get to Evans. For safety reasons, we would not be in, I'm speaking for myself, I know we talked about this last month, we wouldn't be in favor of no left-hand turn out right. Of North Ellicott. So, because then you're just, you're going to put cars onto North Ellicott to turn left onto Main Street. crossing through the Main Street traffic that speeds, that we're already emitting speeds. That for safety reasons, they should be able to egress and take a left out onto North Ellicott to take the right onto Eagle to get to Evans, to get out into Main, if they need to get out into Main Street. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what we're not. I mean, we were asked to talk about that last month, and we disagreed with the no left-hand turnout. I don't know if we put that in the minutes. I can't remember. I don't remember if Nick, if we actually put that in the minutes, but
I don't believe it was in there, Joe, no.
But we did talk about that. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's correct. Yes, we did.
But the issue came up that Swan Street is like a car length away from turning left onto North Ellicott. And Swan Street has become more and more heavily congested because of the new developments. And it was a concern that if cars pull out in North Ellicott, they're gonna hit right there on Swan Street as well. Do you know what I'm saying? It's so minimal, the space. I don't know.
There's more
I'm
traffic
gonna
on Swan
agree with
because
you
of
about.
what?
I'm going to
what
agree with you
time?
about two intersections: a parking lot intersection and an alley intersection being really close together. But they're
Very.
alleys. They're alleys. They are close together. Driveways are close together too. I don't think it's fair to characterize traffic on Swan Alley as being congested.
Use it
But
as a
you've got
cut-through.
a choice of where you can have those driveways come out of that lot. And the plan was approved, picking the northernmost driveway as the access point instead of the one that's closer to the building, which would have been closer to splitting the block, not too close to Main Street, not too close to Swan. Either way, I could, if you've got an issue right now, which I can't think why anyone would have thought that was a good idea, to restrict left, no left turns coming out of that parking lot, force everybody to go to Main Street. Now the traffic from everybody who parks in that lot has got to go to Ellicott and make a maneuver right or left onto Main Street. And they're going to queue up at peak hour and they'll be backing up. They'll back up past, if you made it the closer driveway to the building, they'll queue up past the driveway and people won't be able to get out of the lot. They're going to be forced to go between buildings to the driveway on the other side, which shouldn't be there either. But Benderson demanded that one. And when we looked at that one, we said, well, you know what? There's nothing to stop them. It's an existing curb cut. And if they're going to keep it and demand it, then by rights, they can have it. And it's not worth losing the project over it for something that we wouldn't be able to sustain legally anyway. So it's dumb. They could have had a bigger building. They could have had more parking on Main Street. They could have more square footage to lease. That driveway's stupid on the west side of the building, but it's there and they want it. Now you've got the congestion of the parking lot, how they're going to get out of there onto Ellicott, and we're going to force them all to make a move only to go to Main Street, and they will queue up. They're definitely going to queue up, and they're going to cause maneuvering problems there. The amount of conflict you're going to have between Swan and the driveway, I think, is limited. I agree they're close together, closer than you'd like them to be, but I don't see it as being a massive problem unless you start doing a lot of landscape screening or signage that obscures drivers' vision. So they can't see somebody that's coming out of Swan, heading eastbound and making a right-hand turn to go south to Main Street. Now, the main conflict, by the way, should be with somebody coming out and trying to make a left, but you got a sign that says they can't go left. So, unless they're breaking the law, I guess, and it's going to be enforced, that maneuver has been kind of taken away too. This whole thing is getting completely mucked up the way it got approved. I don't think a lot of it's very good, but I guess they didn't ask us ahead of time. Other than a long time ago when they were first doing it, and we had our input, and they didn't listen to any of it.
Right, and there were different driveways at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of renditions of driveways.
Right.
I don't think we ever approved this plan.
Well, the that's on this plan is actually the existing driveway that is there presently. You know that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there were two in the back and none in the front, and there was one in the front and 2 in the back, and now we got 1 and 1.
Now we're
Well,
back
now-
to where, now we're back to the original part, yeah, the original ones. But again, and Bill, I mean, your point is valid, but like you said, I mean, there are very few cars who are going to come out of Swan Alley and take a right to go onto North Ellicott to take
I
a left
agree.
or right onto Main Street. If they're going
I
to go,
agree.
if they're going to do anything, they're going to go the other way on Swan Alley. If they want to make a right, they're going to go the other way on Swan Alley.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think it's a big issue. It's not congested, and anybody going down Swan is either going to go the opposite direction to get to the light at Mill, or they're going to be making a left to get to Eagle to go over to Evans. They're going to be doing the same thing. They're not going to, very few people are going to want to make a right there unless they're trying to get the Cabernet.
What restaurant is going in here? What restaurant's going in here?
Chipotle.
Chipotle for now. It could be others. I think there are 4 spaces for 4 different stores.
Okay. Is Chipotle a nighttime place?
No,
They-
there's
No.
no. It's a fast food
Taco
burrito joint.
24.
burrito, yeah.
Yeah.
From the,
It's mostly takeout, actually. Honestly,
Right.
it's
Every
rare.
place is now.
Yeah, everybody's taking one now. So it'll be busy around lunchtime, might be busy around dinner time. But there's no alcohol to drink, so it's not gonna be like a late night or
No,
anything
no,
like that.
Joe, they have a permit to sell alcohol. Most Chipotles do sell beer. And they did apply for an SLA license, which I think was approved.
But there's no bar to speak of.
No, it's not a bar, but people who
Right.
dine in that want to get a
Right,
beer,
right.
they can.
Okay. So you've got daytime patrons, mostly, right?
Yeah, they probably close at 9 at night, maybe 10 at the latest, I believe.
But I don't know if it's too late for us, or if it's even worth it for us to disagree with the no left-hand turn outside of off of North Ellicott. But it's really only a street sign, so it's really the builder is not it's nothing that's that the builder has to abide by. It's a parking rule it's a street rule that the village board approves.
Well, no, the planning board approved it as a condition of the plan, I think.
Right.
And yet, and the developer will put it up. It might be something that planning board could revisit depending on what we're thinking with respect to that. I also want to remind everyone that we're talking about parking, and was that something we're just going to let not even make any recommendation at this time, leave it well enough alone most immediately, let alone maybe we can revisit or talk to or the planning board can revisit the logic for the no left turn sign. And I think Benderson will care one iota.
No, I'm sure they don't.
Right.
What?
$100 item.
Right. They're not going to care one bit.
Yeah. So that might be something that I can't remember what the rationale was for it. I tend to think it had something to do with Swan Alley and the proximity has already been mentioned, its closeness, the driveway to Swan, and or perhaps the indifference to more traffic on North Ellicott and Eagle Streets in deference to the residents. Yet, but I honestly don't remember what the rationale for that was. But yeah, where do we go with this, everyone?
I say let it sit until it becomes a problem. Leave it as it is.
the
Get rid of the no left sign, but leave the parking the way it is.
Agreed. Get rid of the no left and leave the parking the way it is.
I agree
I
too.
agree. If it
With
becomes a
you.
problem, like you said, we can always revisit it.
Right.
Once the building's all taken care of.
Who is that?
That was Christine Hunt.
I'm sorry, Christine, I didn't hear. Yeah.
Oh, I said I agree. We can revisit it if we need to after the project is completed. If it becomes an issue because people are having trouble pulling in and out, or, you know, just, I can see the west side being easier to park on after this is finished, perhaps. But why, right now, nothing's happening. Nothing's going on. Why change it?
All right, the only thing, and I wish Joe Freeze were on to possibly explain what I learned from Tim today. And it's already 8:30. Is that the fire department has a problem with parking on the east side if they have to pull down North Ellicott and I don't know, raise their and park on North Ellicott to raise their ladders or whatever on the east side of the building. Though they could probably access 3/4 of the building by Main Street, by the alleyway on the west side of the building, and by the parking lot and back. Yeah, and even Tim agreed with that. I'm all for keeping the parking the way it is. That and if it's a real problem going forward, let the fire department articulate why.
Yeah, they can send us if Joe can't make it to a meeting, he can send a letter explaining the reasoning that they want it switched over.
And this project isn't going to open
Right.
for a year anyway,
Exactly.
so we got a lot of time.
No, yeah, feel good year.
So I think just the keeping it the same and eliminating the no left turn is what we're suggesting.
All right.
Correct.
I'll suggest that, and I'm sure Nick will put it in the record. I'll bring it to our board chairman's attention.
Okay, well, as noted, Wally, I have it.
I'm sure you do, and thank you, Nick. All right, I did just quickly, because I think we already have spoken to it, but Dan's initial comment about context. And I think we can all agree we're going to look for better context going forward for the benefit of all of us. And if any of you are approached, if I'm approached, I'm going to ask for something, a letter, an email, or something to that effect, to just give us a better idea.
Really, that letter on Belmont is great. It's exactly, we knew exactly what the problem was, and I would hope we could have more of that.
Well, we'll try and engender that going forward. Okay.
Good.
Do we want to meet next month? I'm hopeful that we can give us all a Christmas gift and say next time is January.
I favor it, Wally.
It's fine.
What?
I agree. I think January should be the next meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get a half a dozen emails about burning issues, I will meet.
Yeah.
Hey, Wally,
Yeah.
if I can end the meeting on a light note, just real quickly.
Sure.
I was gone for the month of October, but I happened upon this in the October 7th column. I'm sorry, the October 7th edition of the Amherst Bee in their Out of the Past column 50 years ago. I'm going to read this. Republican State Senator William Adams last Thursday stated that one of his most significant accomplishments in the state legislature was the passage of legislation which will move the Williamsville toll barrier. And I ask, how did that work out for you? That was 50 years ago, guys.
Oh my
and ladies.
God.
I think you should,
Where'd he move it to?
Great question.
When does the cashless tolling start?
This month.
This
I know
month, yeah.
that, but what day?
Oh,
Allegedly completed by 12/31, Dan. They're on target to get it done by year end.
wow.
Well, there's signs up on the message boards that it begins in November. I just asked what day.
Yeah.
Because that's supposed to eliminate a lot of traffic for the village, and I hope the heck it does.
Yeah,
Time will tell. Time will tell.
I hope it does. I think we all do. So, all right, the first Thursday in January at 7 o'clock, whatever that is, the next meeting.
That's the 7th. It'll be noted in the minutes, Wally.
All right.
Great.
everybody have, I hope everybody has a great holiday season.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a nice one.
You.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Good evening, y'all.
Right.
Good night.
Good night.